Hello and welcome to App DNA. I'm Pervin and today I'm going to teach you how to build a simple employee emergency check-in app with our low-code platform Zoho Creator. Suppose you're an organization with different branches and a lot of employees. So when a crisis arises in one branch, you want the employees of that branch to mark themselves as safe or raise a new request for help. Let's look at the workflow of this app through 5 basic steps. In the first step, we are going to add our company details and branch details through forms. In the second step, we are going to add employees to each of these branches. In the third step, we are going to create a new form through which we can raise a new crisis and tell which branches this crisis has occurred. In the fourth step, our employees are going to mark themselves safe through a check-in form. And in the fifth step, we are going to check through all the help statuses that our employees have raised and then close the crisis. Let's get started with the Creator platform by building our first form, add company and branch details. We'll log into creator.zoho.com where we'll be building our emergency tracker app. After logging, because I'm signed in to my Creator account, I'm being taken to my applications page where all the apps that I have built ever will be visible. Now, in order to create a new application, I will click here on the plus symbol. But if you have been already using spreadsheets or some other kind of files for managing your employees or company details, then you can simply import those files with this import a file option here, and an app will be created for you. So I just want to remind you that you have other options also. You need not always create an app from scratch if you have already been using a legacy system or something like that. So I'll click on new application and this will take me to this app gallery. Now this is a comprehensive list of around 60 apps that have been built by our customers for your every need. One of these is the employee emergency tracker app, which I will show you after this tutorial is done. Okay, for now we'll create from scratch. I'll name this as emergency tracker app DNA. App DNA for our channel's name, App DNA. So our emergency tracker app DNA has been created, and this is the edit mode of Creator. So in the edit mode of Creator, you will be creating the app through forms, repos, workflows as the app progresses. And in the live mode, you will be checking your app. Now we'll get started with our first form. Create new form, blank. I'll name this as company. I want to add the company details for which I am building this app. So I'll name this as add company. Create form. This is our form builder. In our form builder, we have these basic fields over here that we can drag and drop here as per our needs. I want to know the company name, so I will drag and drop it here. There's a single line field. I'll rename it as company name. Next, I want to know my company email, so I'll drag and drop it there. Then I want to know my phone number, the address. So basically any field you want, you simply drag and drop it here, and here are the field properties that you can change anytime you want. Like you can either make the fields mandatory, or you can choose the privacy and the permission, whether only the admin should be able to see it or your users. A lot of things there. For now we are done with our company form, so hit done. And to access this application in the live mode, we simply click on this access this application. This is our live mode. So you see the difference between the two modes. In the edit mode, we are creating the app, and in the live mode, we are checking the app. Our first add company form is done. I will name this company as App DNA. Next, I will choose the address. So you can point to anywhere in the map for your address. And I'll hit OK. I'll also put an email. Hit add. So every time you submit a form, it will be visible in this report. So you see App DNA is listed here as the company. Now we will go back to edit this application to create our second form, that is the add branches. So I want to add branches to this company. Create the form the same way I created the company form. This one I'll name as add branch. So I want to know the branch name. But the most important field that I'm going to have in this branch form is lookup. So lookup is a very special field which we use to relate to forms in Creator. If you have been using spreadsheets, you would know that we usually use VLOOKUP or macros to look up two datas in different forms, different sheets, which is a bit complex. In Creator, it's really easy because you simply have to drag and drop the lookup field here, you can go to the form in which you want to look up the data, and then you can simply click on it, company name. So every time I create a new branch, I want it to be linked to a particular company, and this is done through lookup. I'll rename it as company and then hit done. Now when I access this application in a new tab so that we can see edit and live side by side, in the live mode you have your add branch form. I'll name this branch as YouTube channel. The address I can click, and as you can see the lookup is here, company. So when you click on the lookup, there's a drop down of all the companies that are listed in this app. YouTube channel is listed to app DNA, so I hit add. In all branches you can see that YouTube has been listed as my new branch office. These are only for demo purposes. You can customize these forms as much as you want. Now we will move on to our second step. In the second step, we are going to add employees to each of these branches. In the second step, we are going to go to the edit mode and create another form. This one would be to add employees of our organization. I'm going to name it as add employee. And here we would need the basic stuff that we need for employee listing, like the employee name. And then we can have their email, their phone, all the things that you need for your employee. And then I'm going to use lookup again to look up exactly in which branch office does this employee work. Because when we have a new crisis, we would want to locate this employee by his branch location. So I'd go to forms in add branch and then look up the branch name, branch. And then I will have a drop down field. This drop down we will use to know the category of the employee, whether this is a regular employee or a crisis manager. So I'll name this as category, and in the choices I'll have and crisis manager. I can also allow other choices. For example, if there's an auditing group that has come in to check our system, and I also want to make it as a regular employee by default, unless the admin wants to add a crisis manager, and then hit done. So we are done with our employee form as well. So I'll go to the live mode and simply refresh it so that our employee form is right here. I will add myself as an employee. My branch is YouTube channel, which belongs to the AppDNA company, and I'm a regular employee. Hit add. In all employees, you see that I have been added as a regular employee. So we are done with our companies and branch. This one, if you want to only have just the one company, you can change the name of this as company details. For doing that, you can simply go to the edit mode, and right here you have the sections. So in the sections tab, you can go right here and just change how you want your sections to be named. You have branches and you have employees. Also, if you want to add only one company and then you want to disable the form so that another employee cannot add another organization, then you have to go to the company form, open the form builder, go to the form properties, and right here, this one, restrict form access, disable form after, let's say, one entry. So once the admin has created an organization, then he can restrict the entry after one entry. But if you have a lot of companies that you want to manage with this, as well as many locations, then you need not do this. For now, I will just see what happens if I disable it after one entry. I'll refresh my app, and as you can see, there's the company details. Now it has changed. When I go to add company form, no more entries allowed, because there's only one company that I want to look after. In all companies, I have this. Now, because this form is redundant, since no more entries are allowed, I can also hide this form right from my sections here. So I'll go to this customization, rearrange. Here I will hide the add company. This one I'll just rename it. To rename your report, you can go to the particular report, open report properties, and here you can rename the report. Company details, rename. Now here I can also change how my company details look like. So I can have a detailed view like this with a company name, email, phone address here. I also want to change my branches, how my branches look. So in my all branches report, I can have a view either like this, or I can have a quick view with a lot of cards. So let me just have this view, branch name and address. Once I've done all these customizations, let's see how it reflects on our current app. This time when I go to company details, I can see my company without the form. When I go to branches, if I go to all branches, I have a card view. As you can see, it has changed. As I have more branches, it will come in card form. And then I have my employees. So this was just a little bit of the customizations that you can do on Creator. Next, we will move on to our third step. In the third step, we are going to create a form just like the previous two steps. This one will be to raise a new crisis. In the third step, we are going to create a new form, and that would be to raise new crisis. So whenever a new crisis arises in your company and in a particular branch, you can use this form to send an alert. For this, we'll go back to our edit application and create a new form the same way we created the others. I'm going to name this as raise new crisis. So first up, I'll use the lookup field to know exactly in which branch this crisis is happening. So I'll relate it to the add branch form with the branch name. I renamed this field as select branch. Then I want to know the name of the crisis that exactly happened. So I'll use the single line field. Then a multi-line field for whatever the crisis is. So here I can have a lot of data about what exactly happened and what are the measures we should be taking. And then I want to know which employee has raised it. So I'll use the lookup field and I'll relate it to the employee database. So I'll use the employee name here and I'll rename this field as raised by. So who raised it? And then we need a date field for the exact date when it happened. If you also want to know the time, then you can use the date time field here. I'll just use the date, and then we will use, where's the drop down? Yeah, we'll use the drop down to know the status of the crisis. By default, we can have it open when this form is first filled, and then we will have closed. So once the crisis has been averted, the admin can come and change it to closed. Now, if you want that the crisis can only be raised by our admins and not by regular employees, then you can also go to this raised by here, which is related to our add employees. And then right here in the choices, you can go and set a filter. So what happens when you set a filter, you can select the field category of employee equals crisis manager. So this ensures that only the crisis manager can raise a new crisis and not any other employee. We'll use this filter here. Then we have the date, we have the status. So with this, my crisis form is ready. I'll access the app in a new tab. This is the crisis form. I can select the branch YouTube office. Crisis name is system shutdown, raised by no matches found. Now I want to show this because in employees, if you go, in all employees, you'll see that I have been added only as a regular employee, but we have chosen that only crisis managers can raise a crisis form. So we'll add a new employee, Sadiq, the YouTube office, and he is a crisis manager. I'll hit add. This time when I go to add a new crisis, I can select the branch, YouTube office, crisis name, shutdown, raised by the crisis manager. I can hit up a date. Now in the date, check that today is the 22nd, but I can hit a date even for the 30th Jan, which is wrong because a crisis cannot happen in the future. So for this, I need to have a workflow and the status is open. For now, I'll keep the date as 29th and raise. Now we'll go to our edit mode and create new workflows. I want to create a workflow while using the form raise new crisis, name the workflow as crisis. So inside the workflow, I'll add a new action. We have a lot of action types here. First up, I want to hide certain fields. So I want to hide the field status. I want it to be open by default. Is there anything else I can hide? Nothing else. Okay, hit save. Next action, I want to write scripts. On user input of the date time field, I want to run a if loop. If input.date field is greater than Zoho.current date. So Zoho.current date gives you the current date. It's a deluge function. So if the date is greater than today's date, then I'll just hit up an alert. Please enter a valid date. And then I'll change the date field back to null, which will reset it. Hit save, click done, and now I will go and refresh my app. This time in the raise new crisis, when I go and try to click on a later date, there is an alert that says please enter a valid date. So I cannot put any future dates here. So we are done with one workflow. In the fourth step, we are going to create a check-in status form through which our employees are going to check in themselves and raise any request for help or mark themselves safe. Moving on to our fourth step, which is creating a form for the employees to check in their status during crisis. For this, we'll create a new form and I'll name this as employee check-in form. So in this one, I'm going to look up the crisis for which we are checking on in the employee. For this, we'll go to the raise new crisis name. Then we can ask him for the branch that he is in. We'll also look up the employee from the employee form. And then we will ask him about the employee's need, if they need anything during this crisis. So we'll use this multi-line field. We can name it anything. I'm just typing it as your need or queries. The date, we can have date field as well, or we can leave it because the crisis already would be connected to a date. Then we will know about the emergency status of this employee with a drop down field. I'll have it as safe, so the employee would be marked safe, or the employee is or critically unsafe. Now here I don't want any predefined option because it's up to the employee to tell their status. Then I'll have another drop down for the request status. Now this will be for the admin to check. The request status could be open or closed. I'll have it as open by default. And this is our employee check-in form. Now I'll hit done. Go refresh our app. And this time in the employee check-in form, suppose I'm an employee, I can raise a new crisis. Sorry, when I'm checking in, I don't want this name to be there, raise new crisis. That happened because I looked it up and forgot to change the data field. So I'll go back and this, I'll change it as crisis name. Let's look up these. We'll change these as well. That's it. Hit done. Refresh. Now it has changed back. So the crisis name is shut down. The branch is YouTube office. Employee is Perveen. Your need. I need water and food. Emergency status is critically unsafe and the request status is open. So I hit submit. Now when I go to the report, I see the admin would rather see that this employee is critically unsafe. Now we can have a lot of customizations in the report. If the emergency status is critically unsafe, we can have red. So we can have different colors for these. So we can go to the report right here. And then we can configure fields for the web or open the report properties. I'll configure fields for the web. So here in the emergency status, we can change the colors. This is called conditional formatting. We can have as preview. So choose formatting. This red, apply this format for the selected records. If the emergency status equals critically unsafe, or the emergency status equals, no, we don't need, for safe we can have green, and for not present we can have yellow. So we'll just leave it at critically unsafe and we will hit it save. We can do the same again. We can have yellow for unsafe. Sorry, we can have, for safe we can have yellow, and for not present we'll have nothing. So this time, yeah, we have to go and save it. When I go to the live app, you see the critically unsafe color is red. So like this you can do a lot of formatting so that the admin can see immediately which are the employees which are unsafe and need immediate attention. Now we'll move on to the workflows for this particular form. So we'll start with creating a new workflow. What I want is that every time a new crisis is raised, there should be a mail that is triggered from the admin side to the employees in that particular branch about the crisis, and then they will be sent a link to my employee check-in form. This one right over here, so that the employees can check in their needs here and if they are safe. So we'll go and start our workflow. So this one will be while using the form raise new crisis. So when the crisis arises, this workflow will be triggered. I'll name it as mail to employees, create new workflow, add new action, and this one will happen on the deluge script of success. So every time the form is successfully submitted, this will happen. What I'll start with is I will use this fetch record deluge task here. I'll write my own variable. Let's say my variable is find employee. You can have any kind of variable. So this variable will go to the form employee form, add employee. It will match the branch of my crisis form, the input dot select branch, the email dot get all function dot to list. What I've done here is that I went to the employee form. I matched all the branches in the employee form with the branch that I've selected in the crisis form. So once I have matched the branch, I know all the employees who are working in the branch wherever the crisis happened, right? And from that form, I will fetch all their emails, which is done with this function called get all. And then I'll put it in a list, to list. So these are just deluge functions. Once I have this, I'll have another one called the URL. So the URL will have the URL of my employee check-in form. So you can go to the employee check-in form of your app. And from here, just see that I will copy paste it up to this creator.com. And then I'll copy it and I'll paste it here. Plus Zoho.app URI. So Zoho.app URI will fetch this part for you. So this is Pervin33 for my app. For your app, it will be different, and that you can take with this function called Zoho.app URI. And then I will copy paste the rest of it from here. Hash form, because Pervin33 / emergency tracker app DNA will be different for each one of you, so that you can get with Zoho.app URI. And then this form I'll just copy. And then I'll use the send mail task. So in send mail from Zoho.admin user ID, this variable find employee collection, emergency check-in for your branch. Here I can have and then plus URL from this. So it will fetch this URL here. Click here to check in your status. Just HTML tags, and then we are done. Hit save, and a mail should be triggered this time. We'll check it out after we have done with it. And then now refresh the app. This time I'll create a new crisis. So let's check all the crises that are already done. So we have a lot of crises here. This where when I was testing the app, delete all of them, and I'll raise a new crisis this time. So let's say in my YouTube office, a tsunami just struck. Raised by Sadiq, our crisis manager. Date could be this, and then raise. So what happens is I'll go to my mail. And okay, before going to the mail, I'll check if I'm already listed as an employee. Yes, so this is my mail ID, pervin.c. I also belong to the YouTube office as a regular employee. So now I will go and open my mail, mail.zoho.com, and I should get a mail from the crisis manager. So this is the mail I've got here, me. Emergency check-in for your branch. So this was the exact message that I had typed there. A new crisis has been reported in your company branch. So I messed up with the HTML tags, I think. That's why it has come up like this instead of the URL. But for now, we will just click on this form link and it will take us to the employee check-in form. Now I can go back to my workflow and just look for whatever I did wrong. So here, just put the tag wrong. This time it should work properly. Let's raise another crisis. Floods. When I go and refresh my mail, I'll get this one, emergency check-in in your branch. Okay, so this time it's come out well. After the HTML tweak, a new crisis has been reported in your company. Click here to check in your status. And so it will take me to the check-in form. So I hope you got the workflow here. Once a new crisis has arisen, this mail will trigger a mail to your employees in that particular branch asking them to check in their status. So once I've got this, I can simply look for the tsunami crisis. My branch is YouTube. I am Perveen. My need are queries. I need food and blankets. My emergency status is critically unsafe. And the request status is open. I hit submit. Then my crisis manager can go to this report and check that Perveen is critically unsafe. And then he can take action on it. Let's move on to our fifth step. In the fifth step, we are going to create reports for the crisis if we have given them any help. And then we are going to close the crisis. In the fifth step, we are going to create dashboards through what we call as pages in Creator. So we'll click on page. How would you like to create a page? By blank. I'll name my page as. So what pages does is it has a lot of elements that you can simply drag and drop along with ZML or HTML or any of the languages that you know. But I'm just going to show you how to just drag and drop these panels, and we have charts, forms, reports. So basically everything that you can do with Creator, you can just create in this page and it's just amazing. It's a blank canvas where you can do anything. So I'll start up with a panel. I want to know how many incidents, how many crises have happened this year. For this, I'll use this panel here. So this is where the numbers are. I can have a sum or a count. So I want the count of records in the form raise new crisis. So I'll evaluate for all the records. So for every record in the crisis, I know that it has happened. So a sum of all the records would give me the count of crisis. This one I'll name as crisis this year. Now here I can also have a filter to ensure that only this year's things have happened. So I can change the added time or the modified time. Let's say added time is this year. Hit done. So this will give me the crisis that happened this year. And then I can have an action where I want, when I click here, it should go to the crisis report. So I can have this open report of all new crisis. Hit done. So I have first panel here. Then I'll have this panel here. I'll just drag and drop it here. This one would say crisis resolved. Right here, I have a count of records in the form raise new crisis for the selected records. Now for the status, that equals closed. So the closed crises are the ones that have been resolved. Here I'll have the resolved crisis, and then I can have an action where it can open me up to my crisis report, or it can even go to the employee check-in form report where we can see how we have resolved the issues that the employees have faced. Okay, so we have these crisis this year, crisis resolved. These were the panels. You can choose any of the panels here. Next we will go to a chart. I'll use a stacked column chart here. So I'll drag and drop it here. I'll use the employee check-in form. In the x-axis, I will have the particular crisis that occurred, and I'll name this crisis. And in the y-axis I want to stack by the field of their emergency status, so how many of them are safe and such numbers. And this one I'll name as employee status. Now aggregate values by their emergency status. Hit done. Now I'll push done and I'll access this app in a new tab. So this is our crisis dashboard as it looks now. 2 crises this year, 0 crisis resolved. In the floods we have 1 safe employee, and in tsunami we have 1 critically unsafe. Now this is unknown because this is supposed to be 3-bar chart, but we have only 2 crises that happened. Maybe we can add another crisis and we can check in an employee that says that it was not present. Submit. Now when I go to the crisis dashboard, we have drought, we have floods where someone is safe. Here we don't have anything, not present, and then we have critically unsafe in red. Now this unknown is coming here. I'll go to all crisis and employee check-in form. I have 1 record here which is not linked to any crisis, so I have to delete it. This is causing the problem in my dashboard right now. Now when I go to my crisis dashboard, you can see that we have drought, floods and tsunami, and we know the exact number of employees who have been affected here in this stacked report. So this is our dashboard. Now if you click on this, it takes you directly to the crisis report. If you go to the crisis resolved right here, it takes you to the employee check-in report form where you can see their emergency status. Now you can make this dashboard much fancier by just opening the page builder again, and then you can have even other panels, buttons and stuff. Let's try some more panels in this customizations. I have this one, and this one will say safe employees. Here I can go to my count in the employee check-in form. For selected records, select the field as emergency status equals safe. Hit done, and then I can make a lot of coding here. There's design, there's number scale, prefix, suffix, there's a lot of things. I'll change the font as green because these are our safe employees. Here also I can have green. Then I can have another panel. This one would be unsafe. I'll change the color to red. This one will go to the count of critically unsafe, and then I'll use another last one as I can choose other colors from this palette. Not affected, count, status says not present, so hit done. Now I can rearrange these also so that they look prettier. Yeah, this is how it would look. I can even increase the box sizes. So you see, pages is like your web page designing, only that it's very simple drag and drop stuff. Hit done. And now I will go and refresh my dashboard to see how the change has happened. So voila, you have a very pretty dashboard here. Now this unsafe does not look as matched as these two. I can change that again. I can open the page builder, go to that particular box that you need to redesign, and here I can change the color. Refresh it and the changes will come right away. So I have 1 unsafe employee, 1 safe employee, and 1 unaffected employee. So this was our dashboard. Let's move on to a demo of the app. Now that we have built our app, let's go through the entire app with a quick demo. So let's re-encapsulate all the low-code features and app learning that we had today with this app. So I'll show you how we get started. So first up, you add your company. So I already have a company here. That's why I'm not able to add any more details, but I can add. And it says no more entries allowed because I am building this app only for 1 employee. What I can do is I can delete this so that we can start with another app. Add a record, a new company. This one I'll name as You can put an address by simply clicking. So this is the address. I hit add. You have your company details here. Next, once you have your company, you'll add branches to your company. So I'll name my branches. Bangalore branch. I have an address somewhere in Bangalore. The company is Zoho Creator. So this I did with the lookup. So it looks up to the company for my branch. In all branches, you can check that I have Bangalore office for Zoho, and this is the YouTube office for my previous company. So I'll simply delete this one because I don't need it. Next, you add employees in the third step. Our employee name will be Abigail John. Branch is Bangalore, and she is a regular employee. In all employees, you can check Abigail, who I just added. Now, when a crisis arises, we can select the branch where it has happened. So a DDoS attack has just been the new crisis in Bangalore. So about the crisis raised by our crisis manager, Sadiq. Date is today. Raise. So now that the new crisis is raised, I'll go and check my mail. So because I have put my mail for Abigail, I should get a mail notified. So this is the latest mail I got. New crisis has been reported in the company branch. Click here. So I get access to this form. I can check the crisis name is DDoS attack, branch Bangalore, employee Abigail. I need your queries. I need help from the system admin. The emergency status is critically unsafe. And I hit submit. And the next step, what happens is the crisis manager will come and check either the employee check-in form or the dashboard. He'll see that there is a new DDoS attack where someone is unsafe. So he can just go to this crisis. Here he will see that there is a DDoS attack in Bangalore, which happened today. And he can go to the check-in form and he will see that Abigail has been affected really by it. So he'll give her the help that is needed. Once her request has been assessed, he can simply go to this record and edit it. So he will make the request status as closed. He'll also change the emergency status to safe and update it. So now Abigail is safe and the request status is closed. So now the crisis dashboard will be changed to crisis resolved. The number of unsafe people have come down to 1. Now to make this crisis resolved, we have to go to this all new crisis. Here in the DDoS attack, we have to click on this and edit it to the status closed. Update. When I go to the dashboard, crisis resolved this year has been 1 and the total number of crises have been 4. So in the last step, we create this dashboard and in between we create some workflows for the smooth functioning of the app. You learned pages, you learned reports and forms with Creator today. So this was a very small app. We can have many variations in this app. For example, right now to close every crisis, I have to go and edit it and then change it, which would be cumbersome if you have a lot of data in your app. For this, I will go on to show you a demo of the AppDeck app that our developers have built, and that is much more advanced. So let's move on to that. This was a simple tutorial of the very basic app. Now I'm going to take you through App Gallery, where our developers have built a comprehensive emergency check-in app. Let's do a quick walkthrough of it. So right now we are inside the AppDeck app that our developers have built. You can find it in the App Gallery page of Zoho Creator. It has these tabs. One of these new tabs that I can see is responses. I don't have responses in the tutorial app. Let's start by checking his company details in the settings. So he has the company detail as Zoho. There are 3 branches in the company. If you go to add a new company, you cannot because only one company is permitted in this app. And then you can add new branches through this branches form. You can add employee here. He has the category manager and staff. So only managers can raise a crisis. And then there's this crisis. There is open crisis in our branch report where you can check for all the crises here if you have new crisis. Let's try to add ourselves as an employee. And hit submit. So in employees, There are a lot of employees here. One of them in the staff should be me. Yeah, Praveen Chaudhary, I've been added. Let's go to raise new crisis. I can raise a new crisis. The crisis name would be, because I have just input my name, I think the developer has in the workflow auto-populated this raised by with our Zoho login user ID. Hit submit. In open crisis, you can see that in Chennai, there is a crisis that is open. So here he uses this custom action button, which I didn't do in the tutorial because it's a bit lengthier, but you can check the other videos where I've done this. So you can just update the status with this. And about the crisis, it's a flood in the branch Chennai. Need help, safe, not there. So I can simply click on one of these three options and the result would come in this requested helps. So in requested helps, you can see that these many people have raised request. So let's see, the last one was by Harihara in flood. Click on comment and it will take you to the response form where you can put whatever you have. So all the measures that you have. So this comes in this response form here. When you check all the responses, you can see my responses right here: advice on precaution and relief provided. So there's this new page, crisis page. So this is their dashboard. Select any crisis to update your status. You can select this one and then you can update your status right here. When you go to my status and you're checked in employees, because I didn't put any status, it's not come here. The requested helps, how many people have requested for help, comes here. So it's better organized and you can check this app out. If you have any comments, you can comment in the video below and I'll look through them. If you could follow through our app and liked it, please like the video. If you have any comment on the workflows or ways that we could improve it, then comment below the video. Also subscribe to this channel for more such app making videos each week. And do not forget to press the bell icon below so that you get notified every time a new tutorial comes up. Till then, keep making apps and be happy.